Hey everybody, back in the saddle. Yes, this is Life's Journey at 50. I'm your host, Matt McCourt. And I don't know, it's been about a week or so. About a week since I put out my last one. And again, you can catch me on, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon. Greatly appreciate stopping by, and it's always a fun time. I'm probably going to get a couple of them out here this evening, so liven it up a little bit. So let me take this music on out of here. All right. So I haven't talked much tech lately. Been out, riding my bike and kind of doing some different things with not only this podcast, but also with my YouTube channel. And figured what I would do is talk a little tech. It's been a while. I just found, I think I may have mentioned this before, but God, the tech game, there's just so much that's out there. And if you're not a big time YouTuber in tech or, something that, you can dive into 24/7, it's an expensive thing to get into. And I love my gadgets. Don't get me wrong. Anybody that really knows me knows I pretty much play in all the arenas, have a lot of the gadgets and stuff like that. And I went through all that stuff. But, so recently I've been thinking a lot about what I have been doing probably over the last maybe 5-6 years. And, I've had both phones, I think I've told you, like Android, Apple, switching back and forth, different tablets. Again, all the platforms are good. Don't get me wrong, depending on what you're doing out there. But I found that I had a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and now I've got, last year I went out and got the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Love it. And I know I've talked about the Apple Android thing, but it's just so hard to get out of the Apple ecosystem. I mean, I've got a couple of Apple TVs, and I don't have to use my Apple Watch anymore. I'll probably touch a little bit on that. The new 12 Pro Max, and I had the 11, and just on and on, but it's just hard to get out of that ecosystem. My son and daughter use it, other folks use it, and you just kind of get wrapped up into it. So recently, and I don't think like I said talk about this, I actually got rid of my Note 20, and really don't have anything from Android. I haven't had anything for Android. Stopped my second line. I just felt like it was, it was just a waste of money. And at the end of the day, I was thinking about this because, Apple just had their event. And if you look at it, a lot of great stuff. I mean, Apple makes a lot of great stuff. They've got their M1 chip. You've heard it. You've heard it from me. You've heard it from other folks, especially if you're following tech. But it's always in this constant, do I upgrade, right? Look at the latest, greatest thing that's come out and stuff like that. And, Apple had a hell of a year. Matter of fact, I think top 4 or 5 phones sold last year were Apple, continue to be dominant. I think, for companies like Samsung and OnePlus and stuff like that, it's going to get more difficult in the Android world because I think them having the openness to their ecosystem has actually hurt them. I think that's the reason why, and I've said this before, the reason why they partnered with Microsoft a few years ago to kind of do some integration there between the two, because if you look at the stats, I think they did young folks between, I think it's 12, 14 or, through 2021, and 90+%, I think a little bit over 90%, will continue or will purchase an Apple phone in the next 2 years. So that just tells you that 90%, I mean, that's a big number. I mean, that means that this generation that's growing up, this, 12, 14 to 19, 20, that 10, 12, 15 year gap there, they're going to buy an Apple. And it's crazy, but think about that. And I've had Android phones, and I like the Android. I've said this many times that if Samsung could produce a phone, it's a much more superior phone to an iPhone. It's the ecosystem. And a lot of those kids reference the number one thing is the blue text versus the green text. And it's so true, because even at my age, being at 53, I'll text with people when I have my Android phone. Oh, what is the green? Where's the blue? And like, it's just funny. It's comical to a certain degree that you would think that that's what drives it, but it does. It's a big deal. And so anyways, my big topic though I really want to talk about was, should you upgrade? Do you need to upgrade all the time? Do you need to get hooked on that, like, adrenaline, or that, kind of like a drug, right? It's got to have the latest and greatest. And I'm out. Like, I don't need the latest and greatest anymore. My phone, I could have kept my 11 Pro Max and would have been just as happy and with it as I am with my 12 Pro Max. And just because it has the pro stuff on the camera, well, I'm not a pro photographer, so I don't know how to use all that extra gizmo stuff, right? And it's actually, the battery does not last as long as my 11 Pro Max. My 11 Pro Max was great on the battery, so actually it stepped backwards from that. I didn't do the watch this year. I have a 5 series, not a 6 series, because whoop-de-doo. Wasn't that big of an upgrade. So I didn't think, anything about that. You got some new iPads and stuff coming out, new Macs with the M1 chip. So if you want to do the Apple M1 chip, my thing on the upgrading, if you need to upgrade, then upgrade. But if you've got an iPhone that's 4 or 5 years old, you're still getting updates. You're still getting the same software that I'm going to run on my 12 Pro Max as you're going to run on your 8 or 7. And granted, every year, a phone kind of drops off or whatever. I think the 6 or 6 Plus or the 6S or whatever dropped off this past year. So, all the way down to 7. So you've got 7, 8s, 10s, 11s, SEs, 12. I mean, so you got 5, 6 different choices of phones. And you can go back 3 or 4 years. And then if you want to get an Apple phone, you can go to Amazon Refresh and get a 10 and stuff, like for $400 or $500. It's going to last you for another 3 or 4 years. And that's a great phone. So I would tell you that if you're looking to upgrade, don't upgrade just to upgrade. Upgrade when you need to upgrade, because it's expensive. And especially with Apple, you don't need to. And now Android's learning the lesson, because now it's their software. If you have a Samsung 10, and then obviously the 20 and 21, I mean, they're good for 3 years on their software updates. So you don't need to run out every couple of years and to get a new phone. Although Samsung makes it very intriguing, because you get a much greater trade-in value than you do at Apple, and just, the way they value things or whatever. But at the end of the day, and I think that's just partly to keep their sales cycle numbers up. But do you really need to upgrade? The only thing I've actually switched away from the Apple Watch, because I think I've told you, the Apple Watch, the battery barely lasted. It would be fully charged at 6 a.m. and by 6, 7 o'clock at night, it's down to 10%. Couldn't even hardly get a full day out of it. So, I kind of turned that thing off. I actually got a Garmin Fenix watch. Absolutely love it. I get 14 days of charge. It basically tracks, does everything. The only thing I can't do is I can't find where my phone is at on my watch. I can't necessarily respond to a text or take phone calls on my watch, but whoop-de-doo. It's a great watch. Love this Garmin Fenix watch. Fantastic. And realistically, the only reason why I got it is battery life. And now that I'm doing some adventure motorcycling and I'm out doing my thing, I don't want to have to worry about my watch not working. and so I can use my watch. I can get 14 days out of it, so I don't need to charge it. Every couple of weeks I put it on the charge. It does take a couple hours, but you're good to go. So, I would tell you that, and this does all the tracking. It even does more tracking than the Apple Watch does. So, but at the end of the day, all this upgrading and getting the latest and greatest and stuff like that, I've come to realize that I've wasted a lot of money over the years, and it's been ridiculous. And you don't need to do it. If you don't have to, you don't have to. It's nice to have phone, especially from the Apple side, that last you for 4, 5, 6 years, because you're getting software upgrades. And if you take care of it, which, majority of people do, things do happen. You break them here and every now and then. But, I would tell you that, you don't need to get into this latest upgrade cycle. Sit back and wait a couple years, because most of the technology, there really hasn't been anything that I would say would be, revolutionary, right? I mean, outside the apps, how fast is your phone? I mean, not many people can tell you whether it's 60 hertz or 120 hertz refresh on the screen. Your phone works. As long as your texting's working, the phone works. You can take pictures and, at least semi-decent pictures and be able to put some filters on them. And you're obviously able to access Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and a few others. Outside of that, it's pretty easy not to upgrade, because all that stuff is just working off the platform. And these phones are so high power that you don't need to do all that stuff. So that's one of the things. I haven't talked about tech in a while. And again, Apple's got some great stuff coming out. I mean, they continue to be innovative around their own products. And Apple has learned, even Apple is, as much as they want you to upgrade, if you've noticed, big stuff with them is just colors now. There's no real other innovation coming from Apple, if you really think about it. Now, yes, their chip, and there's been debates even in the YouTubers around, is it really that much faster than Intel? And it does make the machines work. And again, it's all, Apple wants to get to all fully integrated where it's all Apple and they're not having to buy products from Intel or anybody else. But when you look at it, they just came out with the Macs again, and they're just in colors now. A little bit thinner panels and stuff like that, but they're in colors. And they came out with a 12, purple color. Again, just boosting sales, roll out some different colors, and get everybody all jacked up about it. So, again, I mean, do you rush out and spend that kind of money? And even on the iPad Pros, I've even thought about, so I have an iPad Pro. I have two of them, 11 and the 12.9. Love both of them. Obviously, the 11 is easier to carry around, but the 12.9. And now thinking back, I could have just kept my iPad 11, or a little bit over a 10-inch one, almost 11-inch one, and I could have got just a MacBook Air or a MacBook, not the MacBook Pro, but just a MacBook for the same price that I paid for the 12.9 iPad. And probably would have preferred to go that route, because my 16-inch MacBook Pro is pretty big to lug around, especially if you're doing any just around town commuting and stuff. It's a pretty big laptop. I mean, 16 inches, you don't think about it, but you need to have the right place and stuff like that. If I would have had a MacBook Air or MacBook, it probably would have been better. It would have been more suffice and stuff like that. And again, nothing wrong with the iPad, my Pro 12.9, great device. It does help as I'm getting older. If you have some, looking at the vision stuff, it does blow it up make it a little bit better, but probably would have went that route. And so, yeah, I would just tell you that, talking a little bit of tech, giving my perspective on it, I would just tell you that to constantly be upgrading and all that stuff is not really worth it. I would wait until you actually either your unit's going bad or you really need to upgrade for whatever reason. You broke it or damaged or something of that nature. But I really wouldn't get into the hook of upgrading on everything all the time. I've stopped it. It's just not worth it. And just thought I'd share my tidbits on that. So, but yeah, it's cool. There, like I said, a lot of great stuff out there. OnePlus just came out with some new phones. Samsung did their S21 lineup back in February, March. Again, great phone, got a stylus in there. Can't believe that they're doing away with the Note series. Kind of sad now they got rid of my Note 20 because it might be the last Note they ever make. But it is what it is. So, just be cognizant of that unless you really find that your phone is really bad or you can't update the software or your computer's going on the fritz. And, usually Mac computers usually last a long time. I mean, I've never had a problem with any of my Macs. It seems like anytime I've had a Windows computer, it usually pukes out in about 3 years, max, although they've gotten a lot better as well. And I know Microsoft's just come out with some new ones on their Surface 4 laptops. But they're all getting better. Pardon me there. Sunday. Not that it's been a long weekend, but it's been a long weekend. So, I would just tell you that wait, do your research, save a little coin. It's going to cost you some money, especially if you're in the Apple world. It just, I will now that I will say there is pieces of Apple that is very expensive, but you can get some MacBook Airs and stuff like that for about $1,100, and you're in good company there. Like if you're in the Apple ecosystem, I mean, you can get something decent for, around $1,200. But to make a really investment, if you're really going to do something in the Apple ecosystem, you're going to spend close to $2,000 for a laptop and go get a MacBook Pro, something like that. By the time you walk out the door, you get an iPad and a phone and everything else. I mean, you're spending $3,000-$4,000, and it's pricey, right? I mean, it adds up after a while. So just take your time, save up a little bit of money. Apple products tend to hold their value a lot more than the Android stuff does. But like I said, I would say that the Samsung phones are just a much better unit than my iPhone. I can debate you all day on that one and win. It just comes down to the software and the ecosystem. So anyways, I'm going to take this out of here. I just wanted to do a little tech thing. I haven't done tech for a while, and it was all about should you upgrade or shouldn't you? And I would tell you that unless you really need to, I wouldn't worry about it. Save your money, take a trip. Things are starting to loosen up out there. Enjoy life again, right? It's been a little bit of a challenge over this last year, and it continues to be. So use your tech that you got. Enjoy life. So again, this is your host, Matt McCourt. This is Life's Journey of 50. Hopefully it was well worth it, just talking a little bit about tech and giving a little rundown on some of the items out there, and just, more about enjoying what you do have, and save that money until you really need it, and then make a decision from there. So again, you can catch me on Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon, and then obviously Podbean. I really appreciate stopping by, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye, everybody.